So how did we meet, Caerien? I'm trying to remember.
I think it's from Zachary.
Mm.
If I'm recalling correctly, because I've been trying to recall since ever since you asked me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's from Zachary. He rated you a couple of times. And I thought, initially, my initial thoughts, this guy's kind of like boring. What is he playing? I don't get this.
Wow. All right.
And
Roasted.
then I come back because he rates I think maybe twice, and then the second time like, okay, I can dig this. I can dig this.
I wonder what boring game I was playing at the time. I was probably playing Morrowind or something.
No, it was one of those like Half-Life or one of those kind of like shooter
Ah.
things.
And see, that's why you don't stream Half-Life, because people think you're boring. That's why I stopped streaming Half-Life.
No, it's personal preference actually for me because it was the same thing with Arif Johan. I think he was playing like it's either Apex or Call of Duty or one of those kind of games, and I
Yeah.
thought, this guy's kind of boring. But because he's a local streamer, so I just watch, but I don't actually chat. I wasn't actually in chat, but I watched it a few times. And then after I was like, okay, this guy he likes Kingdom Hearts, so okay, redemption arc.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's and I think that's like, it's so interesting that you say that. Like, first impressions, though they are important, they have often been kind of subverted for me on Twitch, like, because you can sometimes see somebody and be like, okay, they're playing X type of game, for example, a first-person shooter, therefore that's what they're always going to do, and therefore I make these associations and these connections with that, and therefore they're boring, or therefore they're this or that. And likewise, like, sometimes I've rated people who are playing something I love, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. If they're into this, then they must be awesome. And then it's just a completely different, not a bad person, but just a different kind of personality, you know? So I forgive you for thinking I was boring. I'm trying to remember what the first time I came in. I think I would have come and saw you playing Code Vein in your Code Vein run.
Ah, okay.
I loved that. How did you find that game?
I love that game. Even to this day, I do want to like come back and play it and get the 100%. But I also have this brand new for me, the PS4 that Arif
Yes.
Johan gave.
Thank you.
So
Oh, that's why you guys met up for the PS4.
yes. Well, actually, I just wanted to meet up to just have coffee with him.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Hey, Caerien, I'm gonna like give you my PS4, okay?"
That's so
So
lovely.
I was like, "What? Hold
Mm.
on, hold on."
That's really
Because he
nice.
was telling me he wanted to beat Bloodborne DLC. So I was like, why don't you want to do that? Just, play that first. I got a lot of other games on my backlog. You don't have to give it to me.
Yeah.
uh,
So can I chance a guess? I have a something in my mind. I imagine I know why you got the PS4. It's for a
Go
specific
ahead.
game. A specific game, right? I think I'm thinking about it. It's a remake of a JRPG, the seventh in a series. Am I getting close?
I know, it's a bit cold.
Have you been
No, but yes,
Have
yes.
you been playing remake?
Yeah, I have. I think I have about it's either 6 or 9 hours in.
And do tell. I haven't
It's
played it.
been good. Oh, yeah. Well, you have a PS3. Ooh. You can play Final Fantasy 13.
Yes.
I lend it to you if I could, because I
Mm,
have 13 and 13 too, but
mm.
it's a bit far. Australia's a bit far.
Postage is a little much, just a little.
It is, it is. But how do I like 7 Remake? I love it.
Mm.
Um, Before this, my stance was that Final Fantasy 13 has the best combat system
Okay.
uh, of the modern Final Fantasy games.
Mm.
And I've played um, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 13 2, 15, 12. Did I say 12? I also played 12.
Mm.
And 13 was my favorite.
Okay. Wow,
But now that
13 was your favorite. That's a hot take.
favorite combat system.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I think 7 remake is might beat it. It might beat it.
Mm.
But also, I mean, I'm just barely into the game, so
Yeah.
can't really tell yet until I like fight Sephiroth or something. Do we fight Sephiroth? I don't know.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I don't know idea.
I imagine they might be saving that for the second part, but again, no idea. I actually, Agoose-kun said that as well about FF7 remake. He said that the combat system felt more like it felt like a refined version of FF15's combat engine.
True. Have you played 15?
No, I'm so old school. Like I've played 1 through 12 basically. With the exception of
Nice.
3, because I don't know, 3 didn't really like release that hard in the West. But I've watched a bit of 13, I've watched a bit of 14, I've watched a bit of 15.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I'm kind of like I just kind of don't care for some reason. Like I'm not. I haven't been. I got to admit, I'm excited about the remake. Like I will play 7 remake when it comes out. But so, what are your thoughts overall on 7 besides the combat?
Overall, it's fun.
Mm.
Well, you know the storyline, right? And I think that the devs they did this in mind. Like everyone knows 7, quote unquote. Everyone knows 7 and the storyline and what happens. So they're trying to make it more interesting in a way, so that people are still intrigued by it and not just like, oh, I'll just wait until they're done and then not buy it all for cheap. Like
Right.
they want to get people into the game, so they're adding new elements into it.
Do you think it's marketed at solely people who love the original, or do you think it's trying to get a new audience also?
I think, well, I'll be a bit biased because I have played it and I've played it minimum 4 times, the original. But I think new people can hop on in and they won't be missing anything.
So I gather from you saying that you've played it 4 times, I gather that JRPGs would be or RPGs, because I know you played The Witcher. RPGs are kind of your jam, right?
I think, yeah, they're probably my only jam. I've played platformers. I've also played things like Crash Bandicoot. Shout out to Crash Bandicoot. That
Shout
was
out
my
to Crash.
first ever video game.
Which Crash? The original?
I don't remember. It could be the original, but I only know this because my brother told me. Because I was like asking him, he's my older brother. I was like asking him, is Final Fantasy 9 my first ever video game? And he's like, no, I think it's Crash Bandicoot. Like, okay. I take it. I take it. Because he remembers better than me. He has a better memory than
How
me.
much older than you is your brother?
Less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years. Okay. Yeah, because I think we determined that you're similar age to my younger brother. So that sounds about right. Like that's about like early PS1 era gaming kind of origins.
Yeah.
The Polygon era.
Yeah.
You mentioned as well that you're sorry for interrupting. You mentioned as well that your mother had a gaming console as well. Is this right?
Yes.
So you've got like gaming pedigree. I like it.
She played I'm guessing it's the Super NES. So SNES. But the only game that they played was Mario. She played it with my brother. And she was like, okay, seems like my brother knows how to play this game, so she just like, okay, you can have it and I'll just watch you play it. And in a way she's more open about these kind of things than traditional Asian parents are.
Yeah.
So she doesn't mind that we play video games,
Mm,
even when we were smaller, because she knows we we know we have to be responsible for like our studies, for our chores and other kind of stuff. And
mm.
she knew that we could handle balancing between those two.
Mm. That's awesome. Like that's really cool. Do you think that that's something that's going to change going forward, like with the next generation? Like you just sort of describe your mum as kind of being a little bit different to the norms. Do you think that
Mm-hmm.
like the next generation of kids or this generation of kids are video games more accepted for them, or are parents always going to hate them?
Well, it's sort of different because I'm in an Asian society,
Mm,
so we're mixed on the traditional and like Western sort of perspective, right?
mm, mm, mm,
But I think that video games in general are more accepted nowadays. Like I remember when I was younger, because I'm a girl, and when I was younger, you don't say that you play games as a girl.
mm,
You
mm, mm.
say that you play with dolls or cooking or whatever, all those kind of things, but you don't say that you play games.
Right.
But I think moving forward, because I have some friends who, their parents as well, and then they let their kids like play the PS4 or any sort of games, and I think it's more accepted nowadays. Hopefully, like later on in the future, there's no stigma against it at all.
Mm,
But yeah, I think it's becoming more and more accepted. Um, could be a little different with the older society, the
mhm.
older population, but who knows? Who knows?
Who knows, right? Um,
Yeah, it could be.
it's so weird. Like I think my experience was, I think my mum would have been cool with whatever regardless, just because that's kind of how my mum was. Like that was one of the positive sides to her. Um, so gaming was always like a thing that was there for me, but I don't know if that's I don't know what my perspective is on it. Like I'm not sure. Like I was speaking to someone in chat the other day, and they were saying how much they valued gaming, like this kind of obsessive amount. And it kind of like bothered me a little bit. Like even though I love games and I'm streaming and all of this, like there is part of me that is glad that I did some other stuff as well, if you know what I mean.
Mm,
Like
yeah, yeah.
and I wonder, like games are getting so good now. Like games are so fucking good. Like when I watch people playing Bloodborne, or like when I see just parts of the FF7 remake, it's like, man, this stuff is so incredible that like it would take, like if I was a child now, it would be very hard for me to want to do anything else ever. So I think I would be strict on my children, actually. Like I would have like limited, like, okay, like you can play any game you want. You don't I'm not gonna try and like or not, but it's like, I don't know, 2 hours a day or something. Like, can't believe I'm saying
True, and I
this.
think, and actually, that's what my parents did. When you said that, then I actually remember. That's what my parents did. So they gave us like each have like 4 hours per day, or maybe like 3 hours per day,
Mm,
and yeah, we were strict on it. We were definitely strict on it. That you utilize that 4 hours for gaming,
mm,
and then you know, but I've also seen other parents that they do. They make sure that their kids finish their homework first,
mm,
and then they can have unlimited gaming time and up until their sleep time. That is.
mm.
So I guess it also depends on how you on your parenting styles, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah, totally. And something else that I'm also interested in, Carrion, that you sort of alluded
Mm.
to earlier, is your education background. So it's come up that in chat that English is your first language,
Yeah.
you live in KL. I hope I'm right. KL, right?
Yes, yes.
So my guess is international school, or is English the first language in KL? Then I don't know this. What's going on?
So my background is kind of unique.
Mm.
My first language is English, probably because I watch or US TV shows,
Mm.
SpongeBob and the like.
Ah, yes.
Um, Plus, my mother has like an overseas education background. She
Mm.
studied in the UK and Australia,
Oh, wow.
collectively for 6 years. Um, and I don't know, I guess I picked up that language instead of my native language,
Mm.
up to a point where my parents tried to buy us comic books that were in translated to Malay
Ah.
to get us to pick up the language, but it didn't.
Ah.
We didn't pick up the language.
Wow.
Yeah, so my first the first time I actually like understood or learned Malay was through school.
Mm.
First first grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And previously, yeah, I didn't know any English. And probably that's why my accent can be like a mix of American, mixed of British, or I don't know
Mm.
what it is actually. Malaysians say that I speak an American accent, but I don't know. I
I
just
I
talk the way I
sense
talk.
there's a little bit of American to it, I would say. But you just speak in a Caerien accent.
Yeah, I'm just speaking my own way, and I've never been to the US. I've never been to the US, and some people say like, "Did you just come back from the US?" Like,
Mm.
no.
No. So, were you then like? I guess you and your brother were you guys speaking English in the home then, like before you went to
Yeah, yeah.
school? Ah, I see. I see.
Yeah,
I see.
fully English, with the exception of like Malaysian food because
Mm.
that's in, Malaysian language. So
Mm-hmm.
like nasi goreng,
Mm.
roti canai, if you know, teh tarik.
I
So
know
we can
nasi
say
goreng.
that in
Nasi campur. Do you know
that's
nasi?
quite
Do
simple.
you guys have nasi
Yes.
campur as well? Yeah. Man, that's like I haven't been to Malaysia, but I know Bahasa Indonesia is kind of a little similar, the language.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, nasi campur. I'm getting hungry already.
So we also have, well, nasi campur can also be called like economic rice. I think
Mm.
that's also a term that some people say.
Okay. Okay. I get that. Like it's kind of
Uh,
because it is kind of just rice and a bunch of different stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. And relatively it's cheaper
Mm.
than getting anything else. So that's why you say it's economic.
Yeah, like it. That's my style. So I want some tips, Carrion. I'm a big fan of nasi goreng, nasi campur, ayam goreng. I like fried chicken as well. I like laksa as well. I'm a big
Wow.
fan of
Okay.
laksa. So give me some tips. Char kway teow as well. Char kway teow is good. You guys do char kway teow?
Char kway teow is good.
Yeah.
What kind of char kway teow did you have?
So the places I go to, it's generally like kind of like a flat noodle. Like a
Mm-hmm.
flat noodle with a mix of other stuff in there, maybe a little bit of shrimp and chicken and sometimes some sausages and stuff like that, and it's also like slices of sausage, and it's kind of like a dark sauce that it's, or like it's kind of
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like darkish, if you know what I mean, like maybe like it's
Yeah,
dark
yeah,
soy or
yeah.
something like that. I don't know how legit that is. I'm not sure.
Not sure about the sausages, but other
Mm.
than that seems legit.
Mm. So
But how do you have it? Is it wet or is it dry?
dry,
Is it
dry.
okay, good, good, good.
Yeah.
That's so like in the US they say that they butcher like Mexican food, right? Or something like
Mm.
that.
Mm.
So it's something similar here, where char kway teow is actually more of a Chinese-based food,
Yeah, it's a
and
sounds like a Cantonese word actually.
Cantonese, yes. So sometimes they say that Malays, the Malay ethnic group, are the ones who are butchering other people's food.
Oh.
So yes, char kway teow is actually supposed to be dry, but here, if you get char kway teow from like Malay ethnic restaurants, they make it wet.
Oh. Okay.
That's not char kway teow. That's not
That's
char kway
that's
teow.
something else entirely. I'm gonna. Is it like is it okay wet? Have you tried it?
I did not like it actually, but
Oh.
a lot of people do like it. It's just that it's I forgot what's the name of it, but it's not termed as char kway teow. That's the thing. That's sort of like some people say that the Malay ethnic group is sort of similar to the whites in the US
Oh.
because we're the majority,
Yeah.
and because we're the majority that we sort of have that perception that we're the best and stuff like that. And I'm saying we because I am Malay.
Yeah. That's
Clarification, I'm Malay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I know that KL is supposed to have. Well, I've been told. I don't know, but I've been told that KL is supposed to be kind of like a melting pot, right? Like I've known people from KL of Malay descent, of Chinese descent, of Indian descent. Like it's like a big mix of people, right?
Yeah, everyone's here.
Which is great for food, I gotta say.
But usually in like households or neighborhoods, they have this neighborhood that is majority Malay. They have a neighborhood that's majority Chinese and stuff like that. So if you're in the know, then you know. If you don't, then you don't.
So Caerien, let's talk about. I've heard it mentioned before, and I think you actually said to me that you were gonna, when we did this, you were gonna talk about this for 3 hours straight. So
it was a joke.
No, I know. Tell me about Aerith and your love affair with Aerith.
Okay, so I think I need to give like full background first before I get to her. So my first Final Fantasy game was Fantasy 9. I loved it. I love it, like hands down. Vivi #1.
Yeah, Vivi's great.
After that, I played. Yes. After that, I played 7 and 8. So I played it when 9 was like the new Final Fantasy game, I guess, and then I went back because I loved it. Like I loved it so much. Like I was like telling my brother, "Hey, let's get the other Final Fantasies, right?" So at that time there was 7 and 8, so we got those and then we played those, and I loved them as well. They were different, but I loved them equally. And all 3 games I played about 4 times each.
Wow.
So no hate to any of those 3 games. But what caught on with me after like the first few times of playing it is that she seemed like she was the damsel in distress sort of trope, but she actually could stand her ground when she had to, right? When she saved Marlene, and I'm not going to say any other spoiler things. I shouldn't have said that, but never mind.
It's a 20-year-old game. Whatever, you're fine.
Still, remake is out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, she seemed like she could stand her ground, and then not only that, she is the only remaining Cetra left. Despite that, she is, half Cetra, half normal person. But she was the only one left, and she knew her responsibility. She knew what she had to do to save the planet. And she did it. And she knew, I believe that she knew that she had to die to do it. And she took on that responsibility. She stood her ground.
Huge spoiler alert. Gigantic spoiler alert. No, I get it. I think that's a little bigger than her rescuing Marlene.
When you said that, I was like, oh yeah. Oh my god.
But surely that's like the worst kept secret in gaming. Like surely everyone knows.
Yeah, yeah, and you don't see it coming. I
Mm,
mean, at least I didn't see it coming.
mm.
And that she was my favorite character in Seven, and then
Oh, and
and
you
the
didn't see it
way,
coming.
and you
Ouch.
didn't see it coming, and the way that happened,
Yeah.
I bawled my eyes. So I think that was the first time I actually cried in
Mm,
for a video game, I would say.
mm.
That was PTSD, traumatized.
I know. Well, for me, it was a little different. Like, I actually had a friend who we didn't have a PS at the time. We were
Mhm.
still in that Super Nintendo life, and but I would go to his house and hang out and play all of his cool games because he had all the cool games. And I remember him showing me this Final Fantasy VII game, and he just like he'd made certain save files at like points of the game that he just wanted to show me like the FMVs because at that time it was kind of like
Oh.
whoa look at this, you know, like it was like kind of mind blowing to see the full motion videos. And he the first thing he showed me was the video was Aerith in the Temple of the Ancients. And so like with the doom 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 with the materia and like so my initiation into Final Fantasy was that spoiler. And like I was spoiled before I knew who Cloud was or any of that. And so like I knew it was coming. But even still, when I played it, I was like, oh my God. And what got me even more, you know what got me more than that scene? Was the very final frames of the entire game. So, like, I won't spoil it. And obviously, this is the original. The very, like, when everything's going down, and there's like, I don't know if you remember what I'm talking, you probably do. Like, there's like that little reveal, that little Aerith reveal at the
Mm-hmm.
end. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that got me. That got me. even though I knew. Sorry for interrupting
Oh.
your Aerith rant.
No, no. And have you watched or played Crisis Core?
I've watched a little bit of it. It's like the Zack story, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I've watched some of
Um,
it. It seems pretty cool.
so I actually played it, and that was actually the first game that I streamed, actually.
Ah.
Um, but so 2020 was a bit rough for everyone,
Mm.
and that was sort of a way for me to come back to my roots, to come back to Aerith
Yeah, yeah.
through Crisis Core.
Mm.
And I'm not gonna lie, previously I thought Zach was just, he was just a person who knew Cloud. I won't say any more than that.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, like whatever, right? But after playing Crisis Core, I know I love Zach. He's he's amazing. He's amazing. The way
Mm.
they portray his personality, um, and of course, Aerith is in Crisis Core as well,
Mm. Ah, yeah,
which
she
which
is. I've
I
seen that. I have.
adored.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing that people say that is she's more of a mild in that game, but of course you have to think like this is I think 2 years prior to Final Fantasy VII,
Yeah.
and it sort of gives you like a sneak peek of how she became who she was in Seven.
Mm. Yeah, that
Because of
makes
whatever
sense.
struggles that was in Crisis Core for
Yeah.
her. Game. You should play it. You should play it. Even
I
though you know the story, you you know the story. You
yeah.
you know whatever's gonna happen to Zach, right?
Mhm, 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 mhm.
But still, when it comes, you just for me, I melted. I just died right there. My heart
Mm.
broke.
Mm.
Oh, it was so earth shattering. I would say
Do
so
you
sad.
do you think is that one of the things that you find most appealing about RPGs? Is that like emotional impact?
Yeah. So, other than RPG, I mean, playing games, RPGs, I also read books. And the
Yes.
books that I read, the books that I read are more into like similar with. Final Fantasy, I guess, like
Mm.
action, adventure, sort of fiction
Mm.
books.
Mm.
And that's what I like. I like seeing why people do whatever that they do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like not just people who are like-minded, but people who are from the other side. Because that's what you get when you read books, right? You get to see what the villains also, what they're thinking and why they're doing it, their motivations for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I lean more into RPG games
Yep.
rather than, shooters and stuff like that.
Well, I totally agree. Like, I think it's more fascinating from a story standpoint if you have believable characters and not just like enemy, go kill enemy now, please. Like, it's nice to have an understanding of what drives characters. It just makes it more compelling for me. And I think that RPGs are a great way of telling, they can be a great way of telling those stories simply because they have more time to explore characters. And likewise,
Yeah.
I still think the novel is the best form of that because you can have the omniscient narrator who can just see into the minds of, or if if the author chooses to do it that way, they can see into the minds of all these characters and even like maybe speak from their perspective or have their internal sort of dialogue. So yeah, I totally can relate.
Yeah, so I'm more of a story-based gamer, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, if that is a term,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
than anything else. So even if the gameplay is good, if I'm not drawn into the story, I'm not drawn into the game.
Yeah, yeah. So how did that go with FF13 then? How did you?
13 is
Is that a good story? I've heard that being
yeah,
maligned. Really?
yeah.
Okay, I'll have to do some
So
research into that.
whoever said that they don't like 13, it
Mm.
could be because they felt that it was linear, quote
Mm,
unquote
mm, mm,
linear,
mm, mm.
which is, I believe, is the same thing as 10.
Yeah,
Because it's basically going from point A to point B, and then there could be a point C, but that leads to a treasure chest or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
So it's similar.
On the
And I don't
rails.
know, yeah. And that's how I feel with 7 as well. So I don't understand that sort of complaint. Because
Mm,
isn't that the main point of story-based games? That
yeah,
you have to go to point A to point B, and actually, it's not about going to point A to point B, but you're going the journey there, the struggles to get to point B.
right, right. Well, that also seems like more of a trope of the JRPGs for me. Like, I know you're also currently playing The Witcher 3. Would you say
Mhm.
that traditional Western RPGs, like open world Western RPGs, it's kind of different, right? Like those ones that, like, if I think of those that I've played, like Morrowind, for example, there's a story there, there's characters there, but often players will just completely ignore it to go like walking over there, walking in that direction and just seeing what happens over there. And would you say that like, well, what do you think? What are the major differences, I guess, between JRPGs and Western RPGs?
Actually, I'm not too sure about that
Mm.
because yes, you're right. I'm more into JRPGs,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
not because like I prefer it that way, but it's just like there's so many JRPG games that I just wanna play and play and play.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, I do. I have played like Witcher 3. Not too many, not too many. I
Mm.
think most recently it's just Witcher 3. But what's the difference? Um,
It,
that's one of the things that actually didn't draw me into Skyrim,
yeah.
I would say. That, it's open world and then you just can do whatever you want,
Mm.
sort of thing. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it, it's just that I got lost.
Yeah.
Like the story is what keeps me in. So when I get lost and I don't know what to do, I just end up dropping it.
Yeah, it becomes easy to be sort of distracted or overwhelmed or something like that. And I think personally I would say JRPG is a better storytelling vehicle.
Mm.
Simply because it's more streamlined often. Um, but I think the Western RPGs, traditionally I think are better at world building because they're sort of focused on like, and now you're in this world and you can enjoy the world and there's this story and that story or whatever, but it's not like this one driving narrative. Like, I feel like if I think back to 7, there's not like that much Midgar lore. Like, there's a bit, but it's more like, I feel like you learn way more about just the characters involved than necessarily the world itself. Like, there's like Shinra and there's the oppression of the classes on the bottom, but I feel like there's less like deep lore. Am I being a bit harsh when I say that?
No, but I think there are holes that JRPGs did not fill. I think from what I can agree with, there are holes that JRPGs they don't fill, and JRPGs also are restricted to maybe not the world, but like certain parts of the world.
Yeah.
That they would flesh out more, then that will make you feel like the other parts of the world that aren't fleshed out are just empty vessels.
Yep. I think
that's what I do like about Witcher 3, because each area has their own story. This place is a town. Why is it a town? Like what actually people do in that town. There's all that sort of thing going on, and I do like it. I am like more than 100 hours into the game. Sorry, into playing the game, not into the story. I've barely touched the story because I'm always like going into this town and then seeing how they are, because there's like some areas that it's so beautiful in some areas. In other areas, it's just so desolate. There's nothing there. But then there are people still living there. So why? And when you talk to certain characters, you can tell like, oh, because of this faction is fighting against that faction and all that sort of stuff. Although it does go over my head sometimes.
Yeah, well, and I think it's hard for it not to sometimes with those big things. Like my Morrowind playthrough was like over 150 hours and I barely scratched the surface, and it would often be like, okay guys, today we're going to go to this town over here and we're going to complete this thing, and then start walking to this town. It's like, oh, what's in this cave? And then we go into that cave, and then we're just in this cave, like, who's this? And now we're doing this thing for this person in this cave, and fuck that town, we're going to this town now. And then so we're going to that town, but then as we're going to that town, we're like, oh, what's that atop that mountain there? And you're just constantly distracted. It's kind of like browsing like Facebook or something like that. Like, ooh, how about that?
True, actually.
Like, if I'm not disciplined in a Western RPG, it's like, well, I might do nothing. I might do absolutely nothing for 10 hours, No shade to Western RPGs. No shade.
I felt that. But yeah, you're actually right. So me as a person, I'm actually more structured person. So I like doing A, B, C, D in that sequence.
Yeah.
But I know other people, they go like A, B, and then, let's do Z first, and then see how it goes. Can Z tie into B? And which is fine, actually, because that's how people work. But yeah, I'm more structured, so I do like JRPGs that they're like structured in the story. And then you do have like side quests, but it doesn't get too much and too overwhelming that it just kills the main storyline.
Right. Yeah. So you describe yourself as structured. Is that something? Have you always been this way? Have you sort of grown into being this way? Because personally, like I've become much more structured in my life, but that was something I had to teach myself. Like I in my natural state, I'm all over the place. But like over the last 373 years of my life, I've managed to. I thought you might catch that. 33, sorry. I've managed to, like slowly get myself into sort of a more rigid thing. And it involves things like I've got a whiteboard behind here with things I need to do. And it's something like I have to work on. But does that come naturally to you, or is it something you've worked on?
I think it's something that I've always been that way. I've always been that way. There were short story time.
Yes.
So my mom used to restrict us to one fast food a month.
Mm.
That's the maximum.
Did you get to choose?
Yeah, we get to choose,
Okay.
but it's just once. So it can be KFC, it can be McDonald's, it can be back then there was A&W. I'm not sure if you have that there.
A&W. What is that? Do tell.
It's I think it's similar. It has burgers, but it also has like root beer, and that
Oh,
was a
A&W,
signature.
A&W root beer.
Yeah.
I think I've had their
You know
root
that?
beer. I didn't know they were a fast food chain. Wow. Okay, I have to look into this. Sorry for
But
interrupting.
yeah, no problem. So yeah, she restricted us to once, and then I think there was that one time where that month we already had once, but she had to bring me to her office on a Saturday because she had some sort of work thing, and she didn't know what you know for us to eat for lunch, and she was like, okay, let's have KFC. And I'm like, but mom, we just had KFC like last week and we can only eat it once a month, so I don't think we can eat it. She's like,
Wow.
no, we can eat. It's okay, it's okay. And
Wow.
I even asked her as well. So if we eat KFC today, does that mean that next month we cannot eat KFC?
Wow. How old were you at this point?
If I went to her office, it could be that I was 7 or 8, around that age.
Whoa. That is a disciplined 7 or 8-year-old.
Yeah, I couldn't even walk past like there's like lines where you're not supposed to walk across like on the road. The like the yellow lines or whatever white lines that you can't cross. And I'm like, Mom, you can't cross that. No, you can't. Then you would have to go all the way some far away to like circle back to wherever you want, where it's just like right in front of you. I'd be like, Mom, you can't do that. We have to go that way, that way. But yeah, that's me. That's me.
And has that served you well in life? I'm sure it would in many ways.
Oh, I don't know. I just stumbled through being myself. But probably, yeah, because like homework is typically done because you got to do homework every day after school. With the exception of subjects that I don't like, aka Malay.
So okay. What? So you didn't even like doing Malay?
No, because I didn't understand it. The sentence structure, the grammar, they're all different. Spelling. Oh my God, I was so bad.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a struggle with me with language. It's not specifically for Malay, it's with language. Because I think I mentioned to you I know more than 2 languages. So I
Malay,
learned Malay, Mandarin, Arabic,
Arabic.
currently
That's
learning
right. That's
Japanese.
right.
Yeah, so I think it's my struggle with language, even though I'm like branching into so many of them. But maybe that's my struggle with language rather than me being structured and not liking Malay and all.
Yeah, well, I find it interesting because you're saying you didn't like Malay, but you're now studying Japanese.
And Malay is actually easier than Japanese. Not gonna lie.
I've heard Bahasa Indonesia, but it's close, right? Like I've heard it's one of the easier Southeast Asian languages to learn. I think
agreed.
Well, it's also Latin based, right? So that helps Latin based people. Like it's written with letters, so that helps people. I think people who recognize, oh, that's an A, so I would like pronounce that similar to an A.
Oh, but the pronunciation is more to Asian-based tongue language. It's more to Japanese rather than English.
Yeah, no, I guess so. I think even still though, like it's sort of you can
but
use it as like a shorthand or something like that.
Yeah, and typically people here they know if if they know you're not Malaysian and you have that sort of accent, then they're like, oh yeah, we'll try and understand what you're trying to say in Malay, and it's fine if you mispronounce it. We're more accommodating that way. We don't, like bash people for butchering a certain word or anything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I received a lot of lenience when I was living in China because basically the thing that got me is just the tones. Like there's no, I understand how to like I understand how that works, but for those who are listening, there's basically four in Mandarin. There are four tones that a word can be spoken in, or like a character can be spoken in, and that will change its meaning. But like the thing for me is that I just couldn't. There's some like neuron missing in my brain, or there's some like neural connection that's just broken in my brain. I must have been dropped on my head as a child, where like I can't seem to remember, like I don't have a shorthand for why something would be or why something would be like I'm currently trying to sort of review like Mandarin vocabulary using Pleco, this really good app. And it's like it's basically just a Chinese dictionary, but it has like flashcard tests that you can do, like where you just get the character and then you can just and like I've just been going through like HSK 2 and 3 and which are like certain levels of vocabulary for those listening. And I'm like, a few years ago when I was doing this, I was like, I'm great. I know so much of this language. But what I didn't realize was I wasn't really being honest with myself, because I would say it was correct even if I got the tone wrong. And like this time round, I'm being like, no, you've got to get the tone right. And I'm fucking terrible. Like I know all of the words, but I'm just like guessing. Like, it just, so I don't know. I understand certain things being difficult in other languages because that's my battleground.
But that's also probably because you are not conversing on a daily basis, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, and also when I was over there, like people, you almost don't have to, because it's just in the context of the sentence. Like, you know what I mean? Like people,
yeah.
And people gave me the benefit of the doubt because I look like this as well, but they still like know what I meant a lot of the time. But man, languages are hard.
But yeah, I think like Mandarin and Japanese are one of the hardest language. With German, I think.
I feel like Vietnamese would be hard. They have like 6 tones.
Oh, Vietnamese, I don't know. I don't know the language at all.
They have like they have
Really?
they have like a really weird tone that kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff going on over there. Terrified of that language, of learning it rather.
But even here, we're talking about languages, right? Even here, we have, depending on our tone, what we say may mean other things. So I think if you've heard me talk a while, or actually you've listened at what I'm saying, you would hear me say things like "lah."
Yes,
right?
yes. Of course.
Yeah, and that is 100% Malaysian sort of thing. There's no meaning, by the way. There's no meaning to it. But the way you say it could mean different things.
Right. For example?
I can't say it now. You put me in a situation I can't say it, like naturally. It'll sound like I'm sort of a white person trying to say it. But so you can say it as like excitement, or you can even say it in an angry way or in a sad way.
Yeah.
All sorts of ways, actually. It just depends on your tone. So I think that's sort of the reason why that they have this like or sort of thing in Mandarin. So it's sort of it's like an evolution from that, I would say.
Yeah. And those like sentence particles as well, like there's not la, but they have le as well.
Yeah.
And ba.
Yeah.
And like and I remember, so when I would go down to the markets I lived in Kunming, and they had Kunminghua, which is the Kunming language, which is fucking completely different from Mandarin. and like it was like market language for older people. Like the kids didn't really learn it because the schooling system there was trying to like centralize one language. But you know, I'd go down to where I'd get my vegetables, and they would all be like, everything's ga, like shishi ga, and it's like everything's ga, and it's like, I wonder what ga means, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure ga just means anything you want it to.
Yeah, here they have like Hainanese, I think. There's also Cantonese, there's
Mm,
also Mandarin.
mm.
But basically that you learn Mandarin in school, and the other languages are something you pick up from your family and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Languages. That's something I've bemoaned. Probably in every stream I've done and every one of these contents I've done, I've bemoaned the lack of language learning over here in this country. Alas, I won't go back into it. So Caerien,
Mm.
what got you started on Twitch?
Oh yeah, so I guess I touched on it a little bit. So the first game that I played was Crisis Core, right? And
Mm.
that actually was because I was playing it on an emulator because I don't have a PSP.
Go on. I've used
I know what you're
emulators.
getting.
It's fine.
And I actually had a friend, and I was talking to a friend. I'm always the kind of person who says like Aerith is the best, and you should, if you don't know her, you should, check her out.
Mm.
Not in a negative sort of sense, just like, get to know her a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And this friend, I think they did not play Final Fantasy 7.
Okay. Okay.
And
How
I
dare they?
was, talking Aerith up to this person, and then they were like, why don't you like show me? Why don't you
Ooh.
show me you're playing whatever game that you're playing? And I'm like, okay, so I can show you Crisis Core. I'm playing Crisis Core, and that was the first game that I streamed, Crisis
Mm.
Core. Um, More to because I didn't have a good mic, I didn't have a camera, so it was just more to playing it, and then I was just like typing whatever I said into chat.
Okay.
And it evolved into me getting a mic. It evolved into what is eventually this camera that I have. That was a little later along the line. I actually used my phone as a camera for months
Really? How
before I
did you
got
do
this.
that? Did you just like plug it into your?
Yeah, I plugged it. I think there's an app, Droid Cam, I think is what it's called
Hmm.
for Android.
Okay.
And you plug it in. There is a software that you have to download on your PC as well that
Mm.
would connect those two, and it works. It works actually quite nice from what other people tell me that the
Mm.
camera looks nice.
Always good to
But
hear.
yeah, yeah. But it was just hard because sometimes you would miss like text or important calls from your friends or family, right?
Right. Right.
So that's why I eventually got a webcam. But yeah, Crisis Core was my first.
Mm-hmm.
I think after that I started playing I Am Sasuna, if you're familiar with that, JRPG, very good one as well.
Squaresoft.
No, Tokyo RPG something, but it's a
Okay.
branch of Square Enix. It's a branch of
I see.
Square
I see. I
Enix,
see. I see. Yeah.
and they're more um inspired by Chrono Trigger.
Mm.
So
Good
you
game.
like that?
I do.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hell yeah.
But if you're talking about like my growth on Twitch as well,
Mm.
um, it actually started after I've become more active in a community.
Mm.
That's how it started branch out, that I was more active in a community, and then they figured out that I was streaming as well, and the community started following me back, and that sort of gave me a motivation to actually continue streaming because I thought, okay, after this I'll stop,
Yeah.
but also that gave me a motivation and the fact that I was actually finishing off games.
Yeah, it's a good motivation to finish games for sure, right? Like because you
Yeah.
have more than just oh, I would like to see the end of the game. It's like, oh, these people are kind of invested. I kind of said I'd do this now, so I better, I better do it. Yeah.
And that's where I got to where I am now.
Okay. So how have you found it overall? Like, I mean, clearly if you've started, sounds like humble beginnings, and I too had humble beginnings. Let me show you my humble beginnings. I'll show you what I started streaming on. Well, no, I can't because it's in another room, but it's my crappy laptop. Anyway, forget about that. But it sounds like you, over time, you started to take it, I guess, more seriously as people started coming.
Yeah.
Does it mean something different to you now, Twitch streaming, than when you started, or is it still the same thing for you?
I feel like it's sort of still the same thing, but just an added investment and added, motivation to it. Um, because my initially, I wanted to show this game to my certain friend, right? And I feel like it's still the same thing. I want to show whatever games that I'm playing to to friends or to
Mm.
whoever who wants to join in. And I'm not because I know some people they like want to put on a show,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but I'm not that kind of person. Like I'm just being me,
Yeah. Mm.
but slightly more restrained. I don't want to go into more details of things like politics or religion,
Yeah.
that sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm like one to one with someone, not recording as well, I can go. I can touch those topics.
Excellent, excellent. We will end this recording very soon so we can touch those topics. So I've heard you also say, and this was a while ago, it was during one of your streams, you said that naturally you're quiet. And if I'm wrong, please correct me, because I'm often wrong. But you said that you are naturally quite shy.
Mhm.
So do you feel that does that extend to Twitch, or do you feel different when you're streaming? Like, because you seem, I think from most people that I've spoken to about your streams, you seem very confident.
That's the thing. No, it's okay. I'll answer your question first, and then I want to get back to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a shy person. If you put me in a group of five, even if it's my five best friends,
Mm.
I would be the most quiet one. I would just be like the one listening in on the conversation and then gathering information as you would, so that I understand what they're talking about. Um, and that's when some people say when I say something, like everyone is attentive because I don't say much. So when I say something, it means something, right?
Ooh, I like that.
But yeah, that's why with Twitch, I feel sort of out of my comfort zone because there's no one to listen to other than the gameplay. And even
Yeah.
then, some people they don't come in for the gameplay; they come in for the streamer, right?
Yeah. I do.
So that's why I always have this like I'm fighting with myself, saying that no one wants to come in to see you because you're not interesting enough. You don't have that 10 out of 10 personality. You're just a chill person.
Mm.
So I'm fighting that sort of like demon in myself
Okay.
because at the end of the day, I know when I see the like viewer count, it's a bit. It's not like hundreds, but it's a bit. So people do come and people do want to see it. So
People come
I
back
know,
too.
and yeah, people come back too.
Mm.
I've also had like randoms popping in, and they stay.
Mm.
So I know I am interesting,
Yeah.
but there's also that part of me that says, no, you're not. It's sort of like demon in you.
That's crazy. Like, I was having this conversation last night. I got into a late night chat with Cranberry and Dreadsley, another streamer. And we were talking about, well, I think I was ranting about those voices inside, like, no, you're not interesting, like this and that. And like, it's so fascinating though, because you sort of said like, I'm not this big personality, I'm chill. But I think that's like when I've spoken to people like Cranberry talking about your stream, when he's told me
Oh.
how much he enjoys it, it's because it's so chill. And like, I think that's the
Ah.
thing, like that appeals to people. Like when you've got it's probably much easier to find some loudmouthed, obnoxious like me out there. You know what I mean? Like some like
Yeah.
whoa kind of person, where I think a lot of people are just looking for somewhere where they can just like relax and like it's a game and someone just, you know, relax chatting about it. I think that's really appealing to people, to be honest.
Yeah, I do have some streamers that I do just like come to chill as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I know I'm fighting myself when I say that.
Yep, it's always that internal dialogue saying that you're not, and I'm only speaking for myself, not for you, because how could I? But like, you know, that internal dialogue saying that you'll never be this because you don't have that. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's true to an extent, but it's not a bad thing. It's like, no, I will never be that. I will be this, and this is the thing. Like, I think that's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a struggle.
Yep.
And then I do want to come back to what you said when you said that I was confident. Do you really think that? Like
I,
how do
bel
you see me that way?
I believe you when you say you're shy in person, but you exude a calmness and confidence when streaming, I think.
Ah.
Like in doing that one thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think a lot of people have this though. Like a lot of people I've spoken to have, and myself included actually. Like I've had periods where I can be confident in large groups, but I've also had periods where I'm like I don't want to be, and I'd rather be like one-on-one or in very small groups. But there is something I guess that Audax said where it's like he can like work on being himself like while he's streaming. Like he can work on just being the him that he wants to be and like being okay with that. And I think I get that vibe from your stream. Not necessarily that you're working on it, but just that you are just being yourself and you're like totally cool with that.
Ah. Because I kind of get that throughout my life.
Mm,
People say that I seem confident, that I
mm,
can do a certain thing, but inside I'm like, no, I can't. I'm stumbling, I'm struggling.
mm.
So that's why I've always wanted to ask someone when they say that I'm confident, like, what makes you say that? What makes you think that, sort of thing.
Do you think anyone is truly confident all the time? Do you think it's possible?
There are certain people, but it could also be ego
Yeah.
rather than confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do believe, there are people who are confident on themselves, that they know themselves enough to be confident.
Yeah, I guess so. But like I sometimes wonder if that's dangerous as well. Like always being confident, is that just at what point does that become ego? I think it's good to know. Okay, here's a question.
True.
Do you think you can be confident but also self-critical? Like is it possible to be both of those things at once?
I think so. For things that I know, that I'm good at, I
Mm,
am still self-critical,
mhm.
and that's when I say that I'm being nitpicky of what I do.
Yep.
Because that's how you be self-critical, right? That's how you try and improve yourself. You be nitpicky of the small things that you might have done wrong, and
Mm,
then you try to, either not do it or um, upgrade yourself from that.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. I I try to do that also. I try. It's not doesn't always work, but I do try. Hey, I want to come back to something that you were saying before. You were
Sure.
talking about the fact that you also really enjoy reading.
Yeah.
And this is something I've been thinking of lately. I have personally been consuming a lot of Twitch lately. A lot of Twitch. I'm on there a ton. Like I see you in chats. I'm in your stream. We're both in other people's streams. Then I'm streaming. I'm spending so much of my media consumption now is Twitch. as opposed to film or books or this or that. Do you still find time to consume other media?
That's actually a struggle. So it's not just gaming, it's not just streaming or watching streams. I also, yeah, like read books. I also have like a crafting, I think I mentioned to you before.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Cross stitching,
So
right?
yes, yes, yes. So it's a struggle to actually like balance the few, but I do try and find time like for reading. I know I have to read before I go to sleep.
Mm.
Otherwise, I can't sleep actually.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I struggle falling asleep, so that's what I do. I read before I sleep, so I make sure I have like 1 hour or 2 hours leeway to actually read and then fall asleep.
Mm.
But other things like my cross stitch, I haven't touched it since I hit affiliate, which is like August.
Rip. Yeah.
Yeah, rip.
Damn.
And I mentioned that's a big piece. It's a big piece. If you work on it, I did the math actually.
Mm.
If I worked on it, like a certain amount per day, every day, um, it would still take me 6 years to finish it off.
Mm.
So the fact
Wow.
that what 2 months I haven't been doing it, I'm already like 2 months tangent of my
It's
goal.
a drop in the ocean, I guess.
Yeah, like bye.
Yeah, it's so tricky. Like I've dropped a lot to do this. I haven't written a single thing, other than terrible comments in Twitch, for 6 months, which is the longest I haven't written in my life. In
Oh,
my adult life. I'm sure there was child
mm,
years where I did nothing, but I also I've been reading but less. Like, see, I used to read in the mornings. Like my thing used to be I'd read with a coffee in the morning. Like I sit down, and
ah,
I've still been trying to do that, but it's not working for me as much. And I'm hearing you now with this reading before bed thing. I'm thinking maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, because my mind is so distracted when I wake up. I'm like, oh, I wake up and I see this whiteboard. I'm like, yes, I've got to work on. I'm doing content number 4 today, and then I got to do these overlays, and then I got to do this, set up this game, and my mind starts ticking into that like working mode. So like when I'm sitting down with my coffee and reading in the living room, I'm still not fully focused. Like I'm not fully engaged, and that's been my struggle. But I like your idea of reading before bed. Wind down. I'm gonna try it.
but you have to be careful as well, especially if it gets to like an interesting plot line.
Mm. You stay
Then
up
you
all
just
night.
like want to read. Yeah, you end up just wanting to read, and then you won't fall asleep anyways. So it's a struggle.
What have you been reading?
I've actually been rereading. I've Okay, so I have bad memory,
Mm. Me and
very
you
bad
both.
memory. I so every time a book comes out of a series that I'm reading, I have to reread the entire series
Oh
before I read
damn.
the book.
Okay, okay. That's a
So right now I'm reading The Lightbringer by Bren Weeks. It's a series. The title of the series. It's
writing
a
this
very
down.
interesting book actually. It's just that it's a little 18 rated, but I'm sure you're older than 18, so it should be fine for you.
I'll ask my mom if I'm allowed.
But yeah, it's basically it's very interesting. It delves into magic,
Okay.
which is based on light. So you have the
Mm.
sunlight, right? Where you have sunlight, if you reflect it on an object, you can get the rainbow, right?
Okay. Yep.
So each color of the rainbow, there's 7 colors. There are 7 magic.
Mm.
So it's not your typical fire, water, um, earth sort of magic, but it's more into like yellow, red,
Huh.
blue,
Huh. Color
and
based magic.
each color has its own properties. So like blue is more of a solid based magic.
Mm.
Yellow is more liquid form. But if you are good at conjuring yellow itself, you can actually make a stronger solid than a blue. Something like that.
Right. That's cool.
And red is more to fire. sort of like a yeah, it's very interesting actually.
It's quite a unique. It sounds like it's quite a unique take on magic. It almost feels like it'd make a good game.
Probably
Come on,
would. It
Bethesda
probably
or
would.
someone, Microsoft. Let's get going. Let's do
Right,
this.
right. Yeah.
Well, because
It would definitely be a good game.
traditionally it's just the earth, water, fire. What's the other one? Wind or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I've taken a note of it. And how many books are in the series?
There's a total of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm at the second one, I believe. So
Mm,
I'm reading it through Kindle.
okay.
So I own like 2 copies. One is the physical copy, and one is the actually like the Kindle copy, digital copy.
Right, right. Do you read mostly on Kindle or on paper?
Kindle,
Kindle.
Kindle.
Okay, okay.
Because I read it at night, right?
Yeah.
So if you have the book, then you need the book, you need the night light and stuff like that, and I can't be bothered, so I just have the Kindle.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I might have to make the transition to Kindle at some point because I just it's all good collecting books, like it's all good, but it's just more stuff, like
Yeah, yeah.
it's I like having a bookshelf, don't get me wrong, but it's like, ugh. I think Kindle might be the way of my future. I might have to just succumb.
Plus, it's easy if you travel a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually the main reason.
Um, but yeah, I love it. I love the Kindle, and it's inexpensive, I would say. It's
Mm,
not cheap, but it's not expensive, so it's inexpensive
hmm hmm hmm
compared to like smartphones, compared to all this PC gear that I have.
so let's talk about that. What's like? Have you? I think you might have gotten a new PC recently, right?
Relatively, I think July.
Was that part of the streaming thing, or was that the cause or the effect of the streaming thing? What came first?
So I streamed first before I actually upgraded my PC. My old PC was something that I built in 2014.
Mm.
And when I say built, the store person built it for me.
It sounds good when you say built. I'm imagining you with a hammer and like a drill and stuff like that.
I don't know you can see this. Me with a hammer and a drill, I cracked my phone.
What?
Well,
What?
not really hammer and a drill, but yes, I'm that clumsy to actually like crack my phone. So me with a hammer and a drill is like a big no-no.
Also, that
And
shows how little I know about building PCs. I don't think you need a hammer.
no, you don't. The most is a screwdriver.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, this is a bit going on off tangent, but
That's fine.
I'm not sure if you know about palm. Well, not it's not really palm reading,
Mm.
but if you see like you have a palm that the lines just go straight like that.
Well, I know one is supposed to be, isn't this one supposed to be the life? And I think this one's maybe like, I don't know, love or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. So you would typically have 3, right? But
Mm.
mine, I don't know if you can see, it's just one line here
What
and
the?
then one going down.
Yeah, where's your third one?
Yeah.
What
And
happened?
it's just my right hand. My left hand is fine. There's a 3, like 1,
Whoa.
2, and then 3. Um, but in my culture, they say that if you have this like straight line here, that means that you are lethal with a weapon, like more deadly with a weapon.
Wow. Well, I've
Like
seen this. I've seen evidence of this.
so for those who are still like blur, let's say in video game terms, you need 10 strength to break a wall,
Mm.
but I would need 5, maybe 8
Are
to
you
break a wall.
are you suggesting that you are in fact OP? That's
No,
some
well,
Caerien law right here. Love it.
drop that emotes in there.
Yes.
So I actually got this from my grandfather in my mother's side.
Mm,
He had that as well, and he was a fisherman,
mm.
and a relatively good one, I would say.
I wonder
According
if
to my mom, I wouldn't know.
I wonder if it has something to do with that. Like, I wonder if it's like I don't know, maybe it's just random. But so it's in the
May-
family.
yeah, it's in the family, but and I don't know if it's true or not. But yeah, that's why I'm very cautious of doing certain things, because of that. Yeah, this thing.
You don't want to
And
just destroy the wall.
I'm not saying I'm superstitious, but you just gotta be cautious a little. Try
Mm.
not to hurt people and stuff like that.
So you're not superstitious at all?
I am to a certain extent. There are
Mm.
things I do believe in, like ghosts and stuff like that. Black magic as well. But I
Mm.
think that's more because I'm exposed to my society,
Yeah.
which I would say delved into those kind of things.
Yep. Yep.
And you always know a person who knows a person who has, has experience with that.
Right. Right.
You always know a person.
It's the stories are there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious about ghosts then, because I know compared to say Australia, some places are much more ghost, I guess, not fearing, but like respecting. And so, like, for example, when I was in Taiwan, they have the tomb sweeping day, or the tomb sweeping like holiday, where everyone will bring out the front, they'll bring these big tables and have offerings of food, and they'll burn money and stuff like that. And it's to like, it's so the ghosts won't like haunt them or something like that. Like the idea is like, give them the offerings, let the ghost be happy. And I think you're not supposed to do your laundry as well. Like there's like a bunch of shit you're not supposed to do. Is that similar to some of the things in Malaysia?
Yeah, it is. And what they do is actually depends on their ethnic background.
Mm.
So I think I've heard of something like that from like the Chinese base population. For me, Malay people, we don't do that.
Mm.
Because that's considered like shirk, your god, I would
Mm.
say. But we do try not to do certain things, like try not to be out after 7,
Mm.
or when sundown, or try not to go into the forest, or when you go into the forest you have to say hello.
Hello
It's like
to the forest or to like the spirits or
to the spirits,
mm,
because
mm.
when you enter someone's house you say hello, right?
Yep.
So it's the same concept. When you enter the forest you have to say hi,
I
or you
kind of
have to
like
be
that.
respectful of whatever that is around the forest. You just take what you need
Mm,
and try not to bother anything.
mm.
So yeah, we are somewhat superstitious in that sort of sense.
Yeah.
And we also do believe like some people can actually see these spirits, and
Mm.
it's something innate. It's not something you can just level up, unlock.
Right. I can't just like
In
try
a video game
really
sense.
hard to do it.
Yeah, some people they claim that they have, but um the ones that I feel that are legit are the ones that they actually just have that eye. They actually can just see, just because like when they were younger they saw it, and then it's still there when they're older,
Mm.
because we believe that children can see,
Yeah.
especially younger children. That's why sometimes that they just cry for no reason. They're not even
Oh,
hungry.
yeah.
They didn't go to the big number one or number two. They just cry because they see sort of things.
Yeah.
But as you grow older, your your sort of eye can't see it anymore.
That's
But
such a
some
good
people
point.
yeah,
Interesting.
some people they can still see it even after a certain age.
Sorry to interrupt. That's
It's
really
okay.
interesting that you say that, because like I do in many respects agree with that idea. I don't know to what extent, but like the idea that like you see what you're like supposed to see, and like you do hear that as well, of kids seeing stuff and freaking out and like seeing like I think that's universal actually, and it's
There's
kind
horror TV movies and stuff like that.
yeah, and but like in many ways kids do not only what they see, like kids are more honest. you know, like how sometimes kids will just like say something to you, like they'll like come up and say something like, oh, blah blah blah, I think this, and like it might be perceived as very like mean or rude or like, but the reality is that they're just being very honest and they haven't been like taught how to restrict or censor themselves yet. And I wonder if that plays into what you're saying with what you actually should be seeing. Like I wonder if like that's the reason kids do that is because they haven't been like closed off yet by like the society. I wonder.
Something to think about.
Something.
I didn't really think of it that way actually. And yes, I do know someone who can see. Even at the adult ages, they can see.
Is that something that everybody knows, or is it just something they've shared with you?
Something that they shared with me. And as a basic rule of thumb, they ignore it. But there are sometimes like they can't ignore it because those things are trying to like mess with you. So it's like in TV, usually it would be people trying to mess with those things, right? And that's why those things retaliate. But those things, they also have their own personalities.
Right.
So some of them can be mischievous as well. They want to play with you. And they know that you can see. For those people who can see, at least. They know that you can see and they want to mess with you. They want to play around, you know, like kids. But yeah, it's a big thing actually here. But mostly you got to be respectful of them, so they won't actually like hurt you in any way. If they want to like mess around with you, then you know, just got to be chill.
Well, I like that. I like the idea of respecting the dead. Yeah, no, I think that's kind of cool. So this is interesting that you're talking about this because I know that you are not a big player of horror games.
Yeah.
However, it's in the rumor mill. I've heard through the grapevine that you might be embarking on a little horror adventure sometime soon. Is this true?
It's true. It's like in a few hours actually.
Oh, really? Today?
Today.
Can't wait.
Oh no.
Can't wait.
You better be editing this rather than watching.
So what?
Maybe you'll see a different side of me.
Oh, I can't wait. What led you to why are you doing this to yourself? Because it seems you've reported or claimed that you're very scared of horror games. So why are you doing this?
Why not?
Oh, no. Well, all right.
So yeah, I'm in my comfort zone when it comes to streaming, right? Because I only stream games that I do like. So I thought, like, you know, why not? Let's try this. I have this game in my Steam account. It's just been sitting there, and I don't know why I even have it. I mean, it could be one of those bulk purchases, like you have to buy 10 games for a certain price. And that could have been just one of those games. So I thought, like, okay, let's try it. Let's try it. And if I hate it to the point where I'm breaking down, then let's go back to something more comfortable.
That's fair. So you've spoken then of sort of branching out and getting out of your comfort zone. Is that something that you think is important to do as a streamer? Or just something you want to try out for fun?
I think that's important to do as a person, not just a streamer. Like you gotta branch out. You gotta at least experience something that you might know you might like. You might not know you might like it or not, right? Although I do know that I don't like horror games. I have played it when I was younger. I do know that, but I also did know that I didn't like Triple Triad. And then I like Gwent.
Yes.
So who knows?
The moral of the story is trading card games are the best. Magic the Gathering's coming next.
Oh no. Uh-oh, what have I gotten myself into?
Yes, you've opened a can of worms.
I'm going to be called a nerd.
Nerds are the best. No, like I'm with that, you know, like I think that there was a period of my life where I didn't like I spent a lot of my life trying to branch out in like, you know, living abroad and doing this and doing that. But I think in recent years I kind of got into a bit of a comfort zone where it's like, okay, these are my friends. Okay, this is my career, and these are the places I go, and these are the places that I eat, and these are the activities that I like to do, and these are the types of movies that I like to watch, and so on and so forth and so on. And like, it is true that I feel like because I was not seeking challenges, I wasn't really growing much. Like, you know, like life was interesting, I guess, but easy. Do you try to challenge yourself much?
It depends. It
Mm,
depends on my mood actually. If I feel like I want to branch out, then I would. And then if I deem that I like it, then yeah, I'll stick to it. If I don't, then I'll go back to my comfort zone. But
yeah.
I think that's something that everyone needs to at least try. And
Mm,
it's not just video games, it's anything else, even working as well. So like I've been studying or I've studied to be an accountant.
mm.
And um, one of the things I actually tried to like branch out was to actually try and teach,
Oh.
which I very much enjoyed. I very much enjoyed.
Ah, interesting. Okay. So tell me about
When
that.
so I knew it's gonna be at least accountant or in the business field since I was 14, 15, somewhere
Mm,
around there. I
mm,
like math at that point, but I didn't know what I wanted to actually do with my life. But I started studying accounting in school,
mm,
and I did like that certain part, that certain topic in accounting. I thought, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm done searching. I found what I loved, and I am going to pursue it to the best of my abilities.
mm.
So I knew that was a thing for me. And when I actually finished school, and in Malaysia, you have like a 3 to 4 month period before you get your results. So, and based on your results, you would know where you can go into university because, yeah, there's still grade based, I would say.
Mm,
So I thought, okay, what do I do in my life? Okay, let's try teaching.
mhm,
So I went into this like tuition center and they were hiring and thought, and I knew the person actually. So I studied under that person before. So I thought like, can I try teaching instead? And they're like, fine. And I enjoyed it. So that was from 2011 up until like 2018.
wow, you were
I
teaching for
did
7 years?
on and off, on and off.
Okay, okay.
Part-time teaching either math or English
Mm,
to students from 4 to 18, I would say 17, 18.
mm. Wow.
And it was a
Okay.
blast. It was a blast.
Did you have a favorite age group to teach?
Favorite age group? Not really.
Mm.
Favorite students, perhaps?
Ah, teachers' pets.
Not well, not really. It's just that those students they were chill, you know, they were easy to manage.
Mm.
They didn't call me short.
Wait, people call you short?
Kids call me short. Kids who were shorter than me call me
Oh.
No, I mean, context. All the other teachers were actually tall.
Okay.
All the other teachers were a lot taller than me.
Mm,
And that was, like you said, kids are honest. They made that observation that all the teachers were tall except for this teacher. So we're like, teacher, why are you short?
yeah.
I think it was like a 6 or 7 year old. Teacher, why are you short?
Yeah.
Like,
Damn.
ah,
I don't know. I'll just go find out. I'll
uh,
go and ask the universe why I'm short. That's so crazy. Yeah, it's
uh,
so. What did you enjoy about it? What was your What did you feel like you got out of it?
I don't know, it could be something, you could say it's something selfish, I would say,
Mm,
but to me, it was more about when the kids, when they get good grades or when they're happy with their grades. So, you know, Asian culture, you would think everyone gets A's, but no, it's just the same as any other society. There are
Mm.
students who struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this one kid who, yeah, their main language was Malay, and they're
Mm.
trying to learn English, and I'm helping him out. But the way that I teach is, so they have books, right? Their exercise books or their notebooks and stuff like that. And I ask them to tell me what the books are saying. They
Mm.
explain it to me, not the
Mm.
other way around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I want to see their level of comprehension, their level of understanding
Mm.
from whatever the notes are in there. And I think some people say, like, if you can explain something in the most layman sort terms, then you understand what you're actually reading, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do believe that 100%. So that's why that's my approach to teaching. I ask them to explain it to me,
Mm.
and if they can explain it back, then I'm like, okay, dude, you can go.
Yeah.
Just do your work.
Oh, that's really good. Like, I think that's one of the flaws of a lot of language teachers, especially those who are starting out, is they just try to just talk. I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell you everything, but there's no way of determining whether or not that actually is retained or even understood. So I
Yeah.
like your style. I like it.
Yeah, so there was this one kid who has always struggled even with the simplest of things, and there are some things I actually have to tell him instead of asking him to tell me back, because they didn't seem to actually understand it,
Mm.
the basics of it. Then it got to a point where they had their exams, their final exams, I think, and then they came up to me. Like, they just straight away come into the room. They came up to me and they said, teacher, I got like 64 or something like that for the English." And 64 is something that is considered mediocre, right?
Mm. Mm.
But I just, because I know this kid, I know that they struggle. So then I ask him back, like, "Are you proud of yourself?" And he, like, his face lit up. It was like a beacon of hope that I saw from his
Mm.
face.
Mm.
And he was so happy, he was so delighted. And
Mm.
I think that's what drew me into teaching.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a real joy, seeing the people that have experienced failure and self-doubt and maybe wanting to give up, and when you get to like
Yeah.
see when you feel like you can actually assist them or give them the tools or open up the tools for them to actually like realize that they can do something, like that is great. Like and that, like, I remember when we would do results and consultations at my last school, and it's a pretty high pressure exam environment, and there's a lot riding on it. Like it basically means, will they get into university over here or not, or like will they, or well, they get a second and sometimes a third chance, but like if they get a second chance they have to repeat the 10-week course, and so like
Ooh.
that's months of their lives, and when you're
Yeah.
17 years old, 10 weeks is an even longer time, right? And
Yeah.
especially when all your friends are passing and not going to be in their class, so like
Yeah.
that often, like, that day could be one of the best days of the term for me, or one of the worst, depending on like these pivotal, like, there's the people who knew they were going to pass because they tried and they'd always done well. There are the people who knew they were going to fail because they'd always failed and they didn't give a damn. And those were easy. Like, those were easy because it wasn't like this expectation. But the ones that like really had been working on it, really wanted to, and like maybe were going to pass, maybe weren't going to pass, like it depended on which side of the line they got on, like where you have those, you either have those great conversations that you're talking about where their face lights up, yeah, I did it, and they feel like proud of themselves, and you kind of feel that you've done something good in the world, or like helped something good to happen at least. And then the other side of it where it's like they didn't, and it's just like sometimes it's like that was the worst feeling in teaching for me, is that feeling of, oh, I feel like I did everything and you did everything, I don't know what to say to you, it's going to be okay, it's not the end of the world. So no, it's I totally agree that that's probably the the best one of the best reasons to teach is that feeling of helping people.
And I mostly teach like younger kids.
Mm,
I think the majority of my students were less or 10 or maybe less.
yeah, yeah,
And you sort of see how they grow up into as a person.
yeah. That's the formative years, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that. But you can see how some of the students, they were timid, they were shy, they didn't speak up. And
Mm,
then next thing you know, they're going on debates.
yeah, that's cool.
That's like the best feeling that I've seen. I mean, I'm not trying to take credit for it, not at all. But to see growth in younger people,
Mm,
I think that's an amazing feeling, especially if it's positive growth.
yeah, yeah. Growth in confidence, that's a big one, I think. And it's so funny though. Like I taught young kids as well. Like I taught this is going back years ago. I taught it was once a week, then it wound up twice, and then I think it was 3 times a week at one point, which was way too much.
Wow.
There was this class of I guess they were like kindergarteners, and it was like 4-year-olds to maybe the oldest was maybe 6. But like we would constantly get new, because basically it was daycare. Like basically it was daycare with a apple, banana, red, green, yes, no, stand up, sit down. Like it was very like, hello, how are you? It was very rudimentary, not even elementary, like absolute beginner. And it's just
Preschool.
young children, and like
Yeah.
and so this is in Southwest China, and in it's not Beijing, it's a small city, and a lot of these kids have never seen anything that looks like me before. And
Oh, right,
so
right.
the first day, and there would often be new kids. It wasn't like a rigid term. They didn't really have exams or anything like that. It was just, they just do the course. And so we would take new kids whenever they came. And so every couple of weeks, or basically every, I almost said episode, every class, there would be a new kid, and the look of sheer terror in their eyes when they set eyes upon me for the first time. Like, so many of my students just started screaming and crying when they first saw me. It's like they'd been like taken into prison, and they were just terrified. They're like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, like, meh. And like,
So I want to know more about the context of the area. Do they have TV, or I would say Western TV, or is there none? How is it?
It's very limited. Like the TV as it is over there is very much. I think it's actually called CCTV. Incidentally, even though it's not closed caption TV, it's like the China network has like 70 stations. They're all very, very monitored. They're very national. The few Western things that do slide in there would be like Disney things get in there. Like everyone loved Frozen at the time. Like all the kids who couldn't even say my name were let it be, they were singing that. So Disney stuff gets in there. And for some of like the sort of teenagers, the NBA, the basketball got in there. So they kind of got a little bit of that stuff, and like some Hollywood films, like they liked the Marvel movies as well. But other than that, not a lot. Not a hell of a lot.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I do want to tell a small story about that.
Please.
Because like I said, I grew up watching American TV, and there's no, I would say, white person surrounding me, no Caucasian, right, in my surroundings. Other than this one person, they were actually half Caucasian. Their father is Australian, and the mother is Malaysian. And I actually used to think that Caucasians, or I would say white people, were like mythical beings when I was younger.
What? Pixie people. The elves, we're the elves.
I never saw any. Yeah. Like, because we had Indians in my school, so there were people with darker skin tones, and then there are people with lighter skin tones, and then there's people with me, like bit of a dark but not too dark, sort of
Mm.
skin tones. But there was never a
Yeah,
Caucasian
no,
skin
I
tone
mean, it makes
in my
sense.
surroundings.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought you were like mythical beings in TV that, like video game sort of things.
We're from the realm of movies and Hollywood and shit like
Yeah.
that.
Only in TV, only in
Mm,
Hollywood. You don't
mm,
find them anywhere else.
Well, that's, I think, I forget that, like, being in Melbourne right now. I forget that
Ah,
because
yeah.
Melbourne is very, very much prides itself on being multicultural. But even within Australia, if we go to more backwater places, it does become more like one or two ethnic backgrounds as opposed to like everyone. But yeah, that's crazy. Mythical beings. I got this like get my pixie
But
ears on.
but my imagination was all over the place when I was younger.
Mm.
So I mean, I'm not saying it's not an insult,
No, I'm
but
not insulted at all.
to say that it's a compliment, I think a lot of things are mythical beings as well. It
Mm.
wasn't just, but yes, the most funny thing that I do recall is Caucasians being mythical beings. Until I found out that my friend, who is half Caucasian, their father came in that one time at school, said, "Oh my God, they're
Mm.
not mythical beings."
They're
World
real.
shattered.
Yeah. Well, that must be why all those kids were crying
Uh,
when they saw me. It's like,
no,
is this reality? What is this?
are we in a video game right now?
Oh, that's crazy. That's so
But I
crazy.
didn't cry. I didn't cry. I was just at odd.
Mm. Do you believe in aliens? This is a hard turn. I'm just
Ooh.
throwing it out there because I'm thinking of mythical beings. What's your take on aliens?
I mean, because I personally don't see hard evidence in aliens.
Mm.
So for now, no. But if
Mm.
there is evidence later on, I mean, if you can like really hard proof that there are aliens out there, then
Mm.
sure, why not? I'm not against it.
Okay, yeah. I see. My thing is, I would agree with you. I would say there's no hard evidence, but for me,
Mm.
but again, for me, the hard evidence would be there's one right next to me right now. That's hard evidence. Like if that, I mean, if that was the case, were that to be the case, yeah, in that little void between our
Yeah,
two webcams, if that were to be the case, then I would obviously believe it, right? Because
yeah.
I tend to believe my senses. But that being said, like, I feel that logically, given the size of the universe, it would be crazy for there not to be. Like, that would be insane.
Yes. That is true. That is true. And I feel like, I don't know, alien is sort of a term that we coin to say that something that is not us. But what if there could be a different us out there
Yeah.
rather than something that is, something green or something different? What if it's
Mm.
just humans as well that's out there?
Other humanoids. Yeah. No, I think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
possibility, right? Like, that could be in the same way that if you explored another planet, you might find something that looks like a rose or something that looks like an apple tree. Like, there's
yeah.
just conditions for life that maybe certain organisms thrive in. And like, I feel like if there were worlds similar to Earth, then it would almost make sense that there'd be like more humanoid things.
Exactly.
Perhaps. I have a theory. It's not, I don't believe it necessarily. It's just a theory. It's not my theory. It's just a theory, one of many. So,
Shoot.
don't hate on me, listeners. So the general idea of aliens tends to be, for those who think that they're real or think that they might be real, tends to be, I don't know, like what, like green, big-eyed things in spaceships with advanced technology or something like that, right? I guess. Is that what, if I said alien to you, would you say that's kind of the...
Yeah, basically.
But if the universe has been going indefinitely, or I don't know, for 1,000,000 years or 10 million years or however long it's been going.
4 million, according to your book.
Well, that's the Earth. That's the Earth.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
True.
But nicely picked up. But if the universe has been going for, let's say, 10 million years, complete wild guess, probably it's 100 gazillion, but whatever. There has to be at some point the first alien species to advance, right? Like, if the most advanced aliens, if we went back, well, let's assuming they exist, if we went back millions and millions of years, then they would be primitive as well, right?
True.
You'd imagine. So what if there are heaps and heaps and heaps of other alien species out there, but we are in fact the most advanced?
I saw that coming.
You saw that coming? Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we're the most advanced and we're going to be the aliens?
Right.
What if we're the aliens?
Reversing that Hollywood sort of trope.
That's right. Subversive. We're coming for you, universe.
But yeah, it could be. I mean, who knows, right? This is like unlimited possibilities, I would say.
Yeah.
We could be more advanced than them.
Yeah.
A sort of rather than a reverse, that's what Hollywood is trying to depict nowadays. But who knows?
I've also heard the theory that that aliens, from people who believe in them, that they have been here forever, just watching us like we're an exhibit in a zoo. But they're waiting for us to like develop enough technology before they reveal themselves to us, which is, I think that's maybe like the Star Trek thing. I think that's what happened in Star Trek. I don't know.
I don't.
You don't know Star Trek?
I wasn't into Star Trek.
Oh, fine. Hey, there was something I wanted to touch on before, because I know we've probably got to wrap it up kind of soonish.
Probably.
You mentioned communities earlier, and you mentioned that was something that sort of sparked some of your growth on Twitch. So, like, this is something I've been wondering about a lot, and I've spoken with some other people about this. This is the idea of like friendship on Twitch versus like friendship in real life. And do you think there is a distinction between the two things? Like, are they the same thing?
I would say it's different. It's different. Especially if the people that you interact with are actually streamers. So initially you see them, they're just in a rectangular box. I would say sometimes it's a square box, depending on your camera.
A 4x3 box. Mine is.
That they would just talk and talk and talk, and then you just like somehow interact and chat. And then sometimes there could be a connection, sometimes they're not. Depends on the streamer, right? It's sort of a different dynamic, that 10 years ago you would say, why would I want to meet up with this internet dude? How is that even possible? What if they kidnap me or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But then nowadays, I think it's more common that way, that people meet online, right? There's also like online dating and stuff like that. And I feel like it's a different dynamic that I cannot actually coin yet, like what's going on. But I do like it. But also of course it depends on the person as well. Depends on the person. It's strange. It's strange,
Yeah.
especially if you're watching their stream, and then maybe you play multiplayer games with them while they're streaming or while they're off stream, doesn't matter. And then coming to a point where you actually meet them in real life and you chill and you hang out. But I think that's sort of a unique friendship that it might not be around for the next 10 years. It might not be, or it might be the norm in the next 10 years. You wouldn't know. But I think that's something unique that we can get only now.
Right.
In this time, excluding the pandemic. but it could be something that's unique to this time that only we can get now. And then, when you're old, when we're 60 or 80, we can say to our grandkids, like, hey, I met this one dude online and they're like my best friends now. And the
Yeah.
kids will be like, what are you talking about, Nan? Maybe you need to go to bed. You
Yeah,
crazy.
it's bedtime now. Too many teas, Nan. Yeah, I wonder if it's just for now. I'm not sure what the longevity is. That's a very good point you raise. Like it, on the one hand, I could almost see this replacing a lot of traditional friendships and relationships and communication, but I could also see there being a backlash, and I guess it's kind of dependent on, well, a few things. It's dependent on technology for starters, dependent on like power working and everything working, dependent on damn internet speeds, Australia.
I know, Australia. Bad internet.
God.
Do you want to see my connection?
How fast is it
100
going?
Mbps.
Oh,
100 Mbps. Upload.
When I see
Download.
50, I feel like I've been blessed.
And that's one thing I've never understood from Australia, but I've heard.
Well, it was the shitty government, because they decided to. My guess is it was big business and like politicians having a relationship with certain people who wanted to do it one way, and so the other government, the Labor government, wanted to do a different national broadband network, but they decided instead to do this copper-based crap. Anyway, I've ranted about it too much. It sucks. It sucks.
But do you have the infrastructure for faster speeds? Or is it just not there?
No. That's the thing. This
okay.
is the thing I have is the best thing you can get. Like the thing I have is this is the good one. Like this is the one I had to like work on getting.
You're paying for.
Unreal. But like, another thing that I was wondering in regarding that is like, do you feel that it's like the interactions between streamer and streamer, for example, you and I? Is that different to the way you perceive regulars in chat? Like, is that relationship different, or is it kind of all ballpark?
I think it's all the same. I don't see streamers as any different than regulars in chat. It's more so that you can connect with streamers more because you see them, you hear the intonation, you sort of can guess how they are outside of text. But with people who don't stream, then all you have is based on the text, and there's so much that can be lost in text. Intonation can be lost in text. Context can be lost in text.
Yes.
Right. So that's the only upside to streamers have with me, is that I know what you're talking about, what you're trying to say at least. But with text it'd be like, what are they trying to say? Yeah. But sometimes people who don't stream, but like people who I regularly have play multiplayer games with, then they have that sort of connection as well. The only thing is I just don't see them because they don't have any cam. It's just you hear their voice, but at least with their voice, their intonation, sort of their intent, whether they are trying to make a joke or whether they're trying to make fun of you, right?
Yeah. That's so true. And like last night, an example of that is last night in a Goose Coons stream, I kind of like did a thing that was kind of like would have been mean to other people, but I felt like I could do it because now he and I have spoken in real, like with voice and like this. So I feel like he would know that I'd be doing it with like a smile, like as opposed to like being, but that's true. Like if I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't dream of doing that in someone's stream who didn't know me that well, because they would be kind of like mean and rude.
Yeah.
So there is something to that.
Yeah, but there's also things that can be lost in text, even though you've actually talked with them.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
so I've been to some people's streams where I have regularly chat with them, and then there was that one time I said hi. I mean, I didn't want to say like, hey, what's up, or those kind of things. I just want to say hi, and I said hi, and then they're like, why are you being so awkward?
What? Right? They were asking you in chat why you were being awkward.
Yeah, because I said hi, and then they just said like, hi, which is
That's fine, right?
which
That's
I felt which yeah, which I felt like why is she kind of being awkward, like hi sort
yeah,
of thing, because we usually just say hi, then hey, what's up, you know.
yeah, yeah.
So I asked her like, why are you being awkward? And then she's asking me, why are you being awkward by just saying hi? So, what else can I say? So that's sort of things that that is lost in
Mm,
text, right?
mm,
Because you're
mm.
just saying hi, and like, hey, what's up, like, but they
Yeah.
don't see it that way. They're just like, why are you being awkward?
They perceive it how what depending on like what the mood is, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's very true. And I think a lot can be, when I'm in chat, especially if chat is going off, like if it's like pop, 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 when it starts like really going off for someone, if they've got like 10 people talking at once, and anyway, that seems like it's going off to me. And so there's this pressure not to be read, but pressure to like get the meaning or the connotation of the sentence out before the moment has passed. And so like that's
Yeah.
why there's always so many. I think that's why everyone has typos. Like everyone's is their grammar and their typing is terrible in Twitch chat, myself included, and I was an English teacher. Because I'm just like rushing to get something out at the right time.
True.
And so yeah, there's so like I feel like if I were to guess, I'm probably only able to really give like 50% of myself in chat, especially to those who don't know me.
And even especially when you're hyped up, you want to say this thing, so you want to like say it really fast to show that you're really hyped up about this, right? Then that's when the typos come out. And then
Yeah.
if you're on mobile, then
Oh,
you
it's even
have
worse.
the autocorrect,
Yeah. It's
which I've
even worse.
gotten that so many times. Oh, I hate autocorrect.
So annoying, right?
Um, it's so annoying, but yeah, that's that sort of thing that I don't know. Maybe technology can't you can't perceive it with technology. You can't perceive it with text. You have to
Mm,
perceive it with intonations, with how people talk, with
mm,
um the tone, the mood.
yeah. And this goes back to what you were saying about languages as well before when we were talking about that like
Yeah.
it's how you hear something can have so much more meaning than the written word itself. But that said, like I have come from the discipline of writing, but the difference with that is that you sit down with a task in mind to create a tone and create a mood. And so by the time someone reads something, it's in this context that you can understand. Whereas Twitch is just like POG hype. I had something. It was probably when I felt the most like, oh shit, people completely misinterpreted what I meant. I was in Audax's stream, and he'd just beaten Blazing Chrome. Like he'd beaten the game, and then he'd beaten it on like a challenge mode, like the hardest mode, and then he'd like done backwards mode. He just like killed the game. Like he'd really, really like done it, and it was pretty cool. I was like, damn, this guy has mastered this game. And so I think I wrote something as the credits were coming down for this version, this part that he'd beaten, which was kind of like the finale. I was like, Blazing Chrome, so defeated right now, or so conquered right now, or something like that. And like to say like you did it, like yeah, you really beat that game. And then someone else in chat, I don't know who it was, someone else in chat was like trying to like thought that I was like having a go at him. Like I think he was like, oh, you don't have to be such a downer. I was like, a downer, like because I think like when I went back at it, like it sort of could have read as me being disparaging, as in like, yeah, you already beat it, why are you beating it this way or whatever. And it's like those little things like that where that would never even entered my mind. Like, and so that's something I have to remind myself when I'm streaming, that like sometimes the way I read something might have nothing to do with the tone that it's being said in.
True, true. I
Mm.
think I was there as well
Oh, really?
when that happened,
Yeah.
but I was more to either alternate tabbing or something like that. I
Mm.
was hearing, I wasn't just, but I wasn't paying attention.
Mm, 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 mm.
But yeah, it's things like that that you just can't sort of like, figure out through text.
Mhm, mhm.
And that's why some people do things like the asterisk or the highlight, like
Yes.
bold. That's what I'm trying to say right now. This word, this word.
Caps, lock, all caps.
But also one thing that I've sometimes I try to do is, especially with streamers, that like I try to get their tone in my head when they're texting.
Mm, mm,
So
mm,
like you would say, let's say you would say the blazing chrome defeated.
mm,
It's written in text, but I would imagine, oh, Porto is saying like this. And I
mm.
know this because I've interacted with you or I've heard you talk.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that's sort of an upside to people who stream.
Absolutely, and I'm pretty sure like Audax would have known that too. But like some random in chat that just sees me
Yeah.
as another random name, yeah, it's very. There's some real deficiencies in being able to communicate through text, except with emotes. I think emotes help.
Ah, yes, email help.
Emotes help. Emotes help. I love emotes. I think I use emotes now too much. Like I think I've started watching myself. I almost put an emote with everything I type. Like I basically attach an emote to every 5 words that I put down. I think I might be overdoing it a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're going through that phase. I've been to that phase actually. That every time I text at the end or in the beginning, there will be an emote.
Mm,
Um, just to show this is how I am. I'm laughing or I'm crying or whatever
mhm,
it is.
mhm.
So maybe you're just getting into that.
Well, I've been
Like how
doing it
everyone's
for a
hype about
while, but it's
PS5.
yeah. Are you accusing me of jumping on the bandwagon?
No, no. I think the bandwagon has already left.
Yeah, I'm jumping on the late bus. I'm like someone's grandfather who's just discovered how to send a text message. They're like, oh, you can. What is this smiley face? Oh wow, I'll do 5 of those.
I remember I mean, I don't know if you've been through it. Probably. But I remember when handphones were just a new thing, and
Mm,
then people started doing emotes with
mm,
with the text, right?
mhm,
So we do this colon and then P,
mhm. But like
and then you do
the
colon.
tongue out one.
Yeah, yeah, the tongue out one.
Mm.
So that I think that was the first emote that I had encountered, and I was like, I SMSed my friend back saying, "What is colon and P?"
What's
And that
lol?
was what's lol? And that was a very boomer moment there.
Yeah, yeah. I have so many
But
of
I
those.
was only 11 or maybe
Mm,
12.
that's crazy. Like, I have those still today. Like, often in streams, I would say once a week, someone hits me with a new
Plus,
acronym or a new something that I just have to. Yeah, don't even get me started on SARS. Don't even get me started on that. Hits me with a new thing.
I heard that there is a term in Australian for
Yeah.
the word sus.
Yes. Okay. If you want to go down this rabbit hole, so everyone suddenly says sus,
Mhm.
and I got a little bit not angry, not angry, just a little bit perturbed by I think it's a great word because I've been using it my whole life, because we've been using it in Australia since the dawn of time. The thing is that it's obviously because of Among Us, and like my fear is that it's going to be forever associated with Among Us, and then whenever I say it, because I've been saying it my whole life, which has nothing to do with Among Us, people are going to assume that I'm like biting on that Among Us thing from a year ago that went out of that will have gone out of fashion in a year's time. It's like, no, it didn't go out of fashion. This is part of my fucking culture. Like, so that's the end of rant. The end of rant. Sus is a great word. It's a great word. I use it all the time since I was a child, forever, because that's what we do over here. Not sus at all.
Totally sus.
Oh,
Totally
dearie me.
sus.
Dearie me. Caerien, we should wrap this up. You've got things to do.
Yeah,
You
I
got a
got that
stream coming
thing.
up. Before we do this though, this has been great, by the way. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
I hope you can come back sometime and talk with me more.
Ooh, Porter wants part 2, guys.
I certainly do. So, what's coming up in the future for Caerien? What's coming up in the channel? What's coming up?
In the channel, I
Yeah.
don't know. There's October. There's every Monday I will be playing the Amnesia game. Hopefully I don't drop it. But I'm pretty sure people will come by, like Agus. He'll love it.
I'll be there.
Other than that, I've been meaning to get a capture card, and actually
Ooh.
look at this. Hold on. Fancy PS4.
Oh, of course. No more Logitech game.
Well, it's Aerith's one. I think I will have to buy one myself. But yeah, I've actually repaired my Logitech twice already, and I bought it in May. And it's like it still doesn't work 100%, but you can't expect 5-star quality for the kind of price you get with Logitech, right?
You get what you pay for. That's true.
Yes, you get what you pay for. So I am preferring the PS4 controller more than the Logitech. I might have to snag one myself.
Yeah, they are better.
And yeah, I do want to get a capture card to be able to play PS4 games.
What kind of capture card are you going to get?
I don't know, maybe the typical Elgato. Was it?
Yeah, this
HD60.
one's pretty good. Hold on. I would highly recommend this one. This
6CS.
This podcast, this not podcast, is sponsored by Pay Me. It's really good. I recommend it. Did I hear Bloodborne? Did I hear you say?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So while I was playing Code Vein, some people were saying that I would enjoy Bloodborne, and I'm down for it. Like, I'm open. The game is on the PS4. I just need to get a capture card to be able to play it. That's all.
That game, I feel like I've played it because I've watched so much of it. I haven't because I don't have a PS4, obviously. But that game it's so good. I'm sure you know, but yeah, I'm sure you'll love it. You'll love it and you'll hate it at the same time.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get too much into it, to watch too much of it, I would say, so that things would still surprise me.
Very good. The blind experience.
Get the genuine response to it.
Love it. Well, Caerien, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Can't wait to see you in stream. Can't wait to see what you do in the future, and can't wait to speak with you really soon.
Oh, part 2.
All right, guys, let's get out of here. Bye-bye.
Bye.